Welcome back to part 4 of our beginning Night Elf playthrough. Loreluna has just spent a wonderful night under the stars with her best friend Turnip and is ready for the day. She's changed her clothes and is ready to start fresh. We have a seed specimen to deliver northwest of here, and hopefully it will reveal the source of the corruption on the tree. This is the last video in our beginning Night Elf quest zone of Teldrassil. While we have learned a lot, both from the game and from additions, we still haven't filled out very many of our timeline levels. Despite not having any hints to them while we are questing, I will be filling in the first few bubbles during our last beginner quest video. This will help everyone better decide if Loreluna is a character we want to keep leveling or if another beginning race is a better pick. I also got this kind of cool quest add-on that changes how the text is displayed, so we'll see if you guys like it. This is a tale Loreluna's grandmother told her when she was just a little Kaldorei. In a time far, far in the past, on a land teeming with lush greenery and life in many forms, with mysterious magical energies seeping from its cracks, emerged a strong and intelligent creature that we now know as the Troll. Quick break from our story time, we'll collect this quest. You now must visit the moonwell that rests under the boughs of the Oracle Tree, far to the northwest, the first and most powerful of our wells. Its waters are said to possess the very essence of Elune's powers. Retrieve a vial of its waters and return to me. I will meet you at the crossroads in front of Darnassus when your task is complete. We'll make our way to the Oracle Tree as we talk more about the trolls. Through many years, the trolls toiled in the untamed world, fighting for their spot in its branches. As their strength and intelligence grew, they fought for territory and allied with one another. But a group of trolls found the constant fighting tiresome. This group soon moved into the nearby mountains in an attempt to get away from the relentless arguing. They only came out at night to learn the art of hunting in the darkness. They became agile and graceful, no longer relying on strength to defeat their foes. Soon their vibrant green and blue skin began to dull, and their eyes grew pale. They were adapting to the darkness they embraced. These pale trolls discovered and learned of nature and how it cycled, while the other trolls warred outside. As they migrated further away from the fighting, one night they emerged to find a lake. This lake drew the pale trolls to it, beckoned them. They discovered they loved to sit near its banks and watch the moon reflected in its shimmering depths. It was the moon's perfect mirror. They called the moon Elune, and believed her spirit must live inside the well, slumbering during the day. Oh, I guess I never turned in that furball killing quest here. I'll do that quick. She salutes me for my efforts. I was pretty grumpy when I did it, so maybe I don't deserve that. As the pale trolls moved in around the lake, they named themselves anew. They were the children of the stars, the Kaldorei, and we would eventually know them as the elves. The Kaldorei soon learned the pull from the lake was due to its innate magical powers. This strengthened their bodies and minds, and soon they had the knowledge to make cities and explore nature with new perspective. They also became immortal. Thus they named this lake the Well of Eternity, for it had granted them eternal life. We're almost at our next quest turn-in, so we'll take another story break. Hello? How may I help you? Ah, Timberling seedling. I wanted to try growing one of these to help Denelin with his studies. But I'm afraid I've discovered that a corruption has grown in many of the Timberlings, and seeds from such creatures carry their parents' taint. They are beyond my talents to repair. Denelin is very skilled with things that grow. He may find a cure for the future Timberlings. He may be their only hope. There is a malevolence growing in the Timberlings. We are trying to find the source, but until we do, in order to keep Teldrassil safe, we must cut down the Timberlings who are beyond help. Those that wander Wellspring Lake to the north are the most tainted. They must be removed. Destroy the Timberlings you find there and gather the mossy tumors growing upon them. Bring the tumors to me so that I may burn them. Also, did you guys notice that Denelin is here? Why did he need us to deliver this if he was just gonna show up anyways? Looks like you can get some professions here. I've already got herbalism, so I don't need anything else. You can see that they're tanning some hides outside here. I always kind of wondered what these things are. They look like Moonwell bird baths. Don't think I've ever actually used one. Got a nice giant bear rug in here. Ooh, this nightlight stone thing is really cool. Read by firefly light. Notice the companion cube off to our right. Won't of course always be there. It is technically a Valentine's Day event in World of Warcraft right now. We'll head up, kill some Timberlings around the lake over here, collect some herbs, make our way over to the Moonwell. We'll get back to Loreluna's grandmother's story after we have visited the Oracle Tree. As a side note, there are some elves out there that aren't very happy with the idea that we and the trolls are related, so be careful who you talk about it with. Nice little waterfall here. I don't see any fish in the water though. Look at this cool thing. Giant bear tree. Way cool, and it's got those lanterns hanging from its branches. Bunch of wisps guarding it. Lady Sothra was once beloved of Elune. Graceful and pure, the spider spun her silver threads through the moonlight, catching the evening mist. The silver dew had strong healing powers. It was kept at a nearby temple. But of late, Sothra has descended into madness. Her future generations are now threatened as well. Find Lady Sothra, Loreluna, and end her suffering. She dwells northeast of here, near the river. Gather her silvery spinnerets and bring them back to me. The side text reads, Corruption at Mandus can consume even the purest of Elune's creatures. It falls to us to bring peace to those that deserve it most. I was dispatched with a small group of sentinels here to protect the Oracle Tree from the harpies that have made nests all around the glade. Little by little, we are trying to push them back. When the Oracle Tree attempted to send a runner to Darnassus with a report, the messenger was attacked and killed by a group of harpies. If you feel up for the task, go to their nests, slay them, and return their belts to me as proof of your deeds. Now, both of these things are pretty side questy, just going out and killing a spider and then going to kill some harpies. But there was something interesting, I think, about both of the quests. First, that there was a spider that was good at some point and just allowed us to collect her spider webs. We don't see very many good spiders in the game, like anywhere, so that was kind of interesting. Too bad she's corrupt now, just like every other spider in the world. This second quest introduces us to harpies. Harpies have a pretty interesting backstory as well, which I won't get into here because we don't have as much time as I'd like. That'll have to be for another video. But she mentioned that the Oracle Tree tried to send a runner to Darnassus for something. Now, the Oracle Tree just looks like a giant bear tree. Like, it's not giving me a quest, it's not talking to me. I guess I didn't really think that this tree thing could talk. Perhaps the tree only talks to some night elves, like maybe a high-level druid would be able to talk to the tree. But then why would he be killed by harpies? Oh, Maybe we could argue that not all druids are combat druids, but some are there just to talk with nature and be runners. Also, not to forget that this oracle tree is actually on Teldrassil. We're in Teldrassil's branches, so it's a tree on a tree. And so is the oracle tree actually just a branch? Or is it somehow a separate entity from Teldrassil? Couldn't it, tell us where the corruption was if it's just a branch? I don't know. A lot of mysteries. Sorry, Turnip, it looks like we found another one of your strange relatives. Just stay behind me. The text tells me that the fronds are twisting and pulsing, and that Denelin would probably be interested in the specimen. Isn't this weird? There's this satyr. He's just hanging out here. Not really doing a whole lot. I guess we should just kill him, right? He's probably up to no good. Alright, here we go. Ah, sweet mother of a loon, where did they all come from? We live only to serve the Ancient One. Die, interloper! It's like he had friends or something. Oh no, they're just minions. Minions can't be friends. Terrible Turnip is not a minion. Alright, so this fight didn't go very efficiently. I didn't use the right spells at the right time, so don't judge me. I was in a little bit of a panic mode. Loreluna was terrified that they would get to Turnip and eat him. I don't know if satyrs are vegetarians or if they even like turnips, but it was a possibility. Look at that, he's back, and he's hanging out on the tree branch. What is he doing out here? Okay, so I did look it up on Google because I was really curious why he was out here. And apparently rogues get to pay him a visit for a quest, but druids do not. That's okay. He was pretty scary. Alright, so there is a whole lot to explore out here, and that delayed us getting back to our story told by Loreluna's grandmother, but here we go. As a reminder, the Pale Trolls have just decided to call themselves the Keldarai and have found the Well of Eternity. The Keldarai's priests and seers spent their days exploring the power of the Well of Eternity, while the others cared for and lived in harmony with nature. This nurturing spirit in the Keldarai caught the attention of a powerful wild god known as Cenarius. Cenarius, the centaur wild god, reached out to the Keldarai and found their curiosity and kindness to be inspiring. He believed they could be the caretakers of nature, with a little bit of instruction. The first Keldarai to adhere to Cenarius' teachings was Malfurion Stormrage. He became the first official caretaker, or the first druid. We'll take another pause so we can enjoy our Moonwell experience. Over time, Staghelm only became more disconnected from our people. Some pose that he blames us, his people, for the loss of his son, long ago during the War of the Shifting Sands. Others cite rumors of his escalating conflict with Tyrande Whisperwind, the shining light of our people, our leader in Darnassus. But many druids of the Cenarian Circle stand firm that he wants only what is best for all of the Keldarai, and serve him unerringly towards that end. Vandril Staghelm carries the burden of our sins and our follies, and in so doing, deserves the respect of us all. Okay, so that well mentioned the War of the Shifting Sands, which we haven't heard about yet, and the Cenarian Circle. I think we might have mentioned this briefly at the beginning of our videos. They are a collection of druids that help advise the Night Elf leaders on how best to serve nature and their people as a whole. We'll turn in our 2 quests here. She thanks us for our time, says she knows that we are busy and have more important tasks ahead of us. And Priestess Samura regrets that we had to kill the spider, and hopes that Elune will bless her and help her be reborn and at peace again. So we briefly talked about the Cenarian Circle, but we haven't touched on the War of the Shifting Sands, and that is actually on our timeline. The details behind the entire war is long and complicated, but a quick summary is that the Night Elves, along with the dragons, fought a great war against these really nasty insects in the desert zone of Silithis. And you'll find that throughout World of Warcraft, as you level, these insects become a problem for a lot of different people. There was heavy losses, unfortunately, on both sides, including Fandrel's son. While Fandrel still fought fiercely after his son died, some say he was never the same again.
Do you have something for me? Where did you get this? I haven't seen a plant like this since a sojourn I made to the Swamp of Sorrows, decades ago. It's amazing that a specimen made it to Teldrassil, and it's grown to such size. Thank you, Loreluna. Forgive my shortness of words, but there is a test I would like to perform on this frond.
Relaine thanks us and disposes of the tumors for us.
I figured it out! I had to rush here to find you. It's so simple, really. The corruption has spread from Timberling to Timberling, but there's but one that is the source. Oakenscowl. He's been poisoned by the largest tumor I have ever seen. I would call it gargantuan, even. Oakenscowl used to reside in a cave near my lake, but has since found his way to a nook to the northeast of here. Loreluna, hunt down Oakenscowl and collect the tumor. Remove this source of corruption from my home. The side text says, Oakenscowl lingers as a dire reminder of how deep Teldrassil's corruption can spread, turning a being of pure nature into something of nightmare. As we hunt down Oakenscowl, we will continue our historical tale. More fledgling druids grew under Cenarius' teachings. With them, and the help of the Well of Eternity, the Kaldari nation of Elundris, or Eye of Elune, spread around the lake, led by Queen Azshara. Queen Azshara was strikingly beautiful. She loved her people, and they loved her in return. She also was greatly skilled at wielding the magic from the well, and helped expand the nation into an empire. The scope of this empire consumed almost all of the land, with small pockets of troll kingdoms maintaining their ground. Elundris was no longer the name the empire needed. It was much larger than the small well in the center of the continent, which reflected Elune's eye. The name of the empire became Zinashari, the glory of Azshara, for she was its creator. I knew you were more than capable of ridding the lake of that horrible beast. It is a distressing situation. Oakenscowl was once a grand leader amongst his kind, but corruption does not discriminate between the lowly and the noble. The size of this tumor is quite disturbing, but I must study it to learn more about the disease that upsets the Timberling population.
Our Moonwell guide is here to meet us.
To be in the presence of the Oracle Tree is almost to feel wisdom take form. Along with the Druids, the Oracle Tree has been carefully monitoring the growth of Teldrassil. Our observations have been disheartening, but all is not without hope. The tree is indeed recovering since its blessing, but the growth is still somehow stunted, hindered. We suspect some portion of the corruption remains within the tree, waiting to be cleansed. We simply need to find it. There is one last moonwell that I would like you to visit. It is directly south of here, on the shores of the pools of Ardelithrian. Be wary as you seek out the well, and keep your weapons close at hand. I sense a growing corruption from the bows of southern Teldrassil. When you have the water, I want you to bring it to a familiar face that you will see at the pools. She wishes to battle the corruption and has asked for you personally.
Alright, back to the Zinashari Empire. As the empire grew, so did the elves' need for the magic of the well, the desire to explore its mysteries. Those that excelled at using the well became the highborn elves, and they made up Queen Ishara's noble court. Those elves who held nature closer than the arcane arts and followed Cenarius' teachings were considered lowborn, and there was a rift between the two cultures. Alright, we're at our last moonwell. Here we go.
In weeks past, all those living atop Teldrassil have found their memories blurry, as if time itself seized a portion of their lives. We break from this haze to find that Fandral Staghelm and many of his closest followers have disappeared without a word. But in his place, Shando Stormrage awoke from the dream and returned to his beloved Tyrande Whisperwind. And with his return came Alexstrasza and Ysera, to at long last offer their blessings upon Teldrassil, though a small corruption lingers, desperately longing to be cleansed. The bows of Teldrassil itself seem changed. Growth has begun anew. None know what to expect next, but with Malfurion and Tyrande united, a new hope dawns on the Keldarai. Hope for lasting relief from the shadow that has been cast on our people for so long.
Alright, and it looks like our familiar face is Tarandrella. Awesome fawn lady. It is good to see you again, Loreluna. I see you have succeeded in collecting the waters of the Moonwells on behalf of Corithruss Moonrage. I hope you have learned much along the way. Indeed, I have spoken with Corithruss on my way here, and he has gifted me with the waters you have been gathering. They may well provide useful sooner than I had imagined. Strangely, the growing corruption we've felt is actually a good sign. Teldrassil has been burdened with this taint for a long time, and thanks to the blessings of the dragon aspects, only now is it coming to the surface, to a form that we might strike against. As Teldrassil purges itself of corruption that has perverted its growth for all these years, a malevolent growth has formed near the tree's edge, south of here. We have an opportunity to strike out and purge the source of the fell moss that has tainted the gnarl pine, the timberlings, and everything else. With the water that you've collected from the Moonwells and the renewed strength of Teldrassil herself, I can grant you great power for a short while. Put an end to the corruption, Loreluna. With our newly found power given to us by Tarandella, we will go and purge the last of the corruption from Teldrassil, and hear the last part of the story told to us by Loreluna's grandmother. As Cenarius and the Druids watched with trepidation, the Highborn obsessed over the Well of Eternity. Its heavy use created great swirls of power that roiled into the universe, invisible to the eyes of its users. But a colossal being searching among the stars was attuned to the magical energy and took notice. This energy was precisely what he was looking for. It was these invisible swirls of power that would begin the world-shattering event known as the War of Ancients, where the Titan Sargeras, the Eye of the Burning Legion, had finally found Azeroth. And that is the story of the rise of the Night Elf Empire. The power of the moon gives us the epic abilities to slay huge mobs without really having to worry about it. Some awesome end of the area questing here. Elune be praised. Everything I had encountered suggested this corruption to be buried deep within Teldrassil itself. I had worried we might never be able to strike at the source without killing the world tree. I am thankful I was wrong. Malfurion was the start of this great turn of fortune. Perhaps I will seek him out before I depart to the wilds again. Thank you, Loreluna. Thank you for everything you've done. You are sure to be a great hero someday. Our tasks are done here for now. This water proved to be of great importance, but it wasn't originally meant for me. Go ahead and bring it back to Korithras at the crossroads. I'm sure he'd like you to deliver it to its original destination. So we've reached the end of our time here and have finally cleansed the tree of corruption, and yet we still don't know how it started. Quests unfortunately didn't give us the answers. Our last Moonwell mentioned the citizens had something funny happen to their memories, and that Fandral and his followers went missing. This isn't quite the reveal we were looking for. The answers can be found in the novel Storm Rage, written by Richard Knack. So if you want a detailed account of why Malfurion was in a coma, and how he was released from the coma, and what Fandral had to do with it all, then pick up the book. And stop the video when I tell you to avoid spoilers. If you just want the answers to these mysteries that we've been trying to solve here, then stay tuned at the end of the video for a summary. Our last quest ending from Korithras Moonrage. He thanks us, of course, for the task that we did with Tarandrella in our cleansing, saying that we are a noble representative of our race, and then asks us to deliver the flasks of the water that we collected to Tyrande Whisperwind in Darnassus. I think that this is such a neat ending to our adventures here on Teldrassil because we actually get to meet the leader of our people, or I should say one of the leaders of our people. Not something that you get to do in every quest area. I mean, you can go look at them, I guess, but you don't actually get to turn in a quest to them. Well, Terrible Turnip, for one, feels incredibly relieved that he can dig his roots into uncorrupted soil, finally. It's a really cool carriage thing. Oh, looks like we got a party going on in the courtyard over here. Think we'll stop? Me and Turnip can get a drink. Ooh, look at this girl's armor. Way cool. What do you want, Turnip? What's that purple bug-looking thing? No bugs for you, man. Now is the perfect time to take a look at our timeline as we're running to Tyrande. We have filled out all sorts of wonderful things. You can see that we have our first 5 bubbles filled out from when we evolved from trolls and the Night Elf split to when Queen Ishara started her rule. We also put up the War of the Shifting Sands, since it was mentioned in one of the moon wells, even though we don't have a ton of details about it. It's right before the Dark Portal. We also discovered in the bottom right corner that something went down with Fandral. And as you might have noticed, we still have a lot of empty bubbles. Now, as a reminder, each of these bubbles on our timeline is usually Night Elf specific, about an event in history. So if we continue with Loreluna's story, because people liked her, we will be able to fill in the rest of her bubbles as she explores the rest of Azeroth and the other expansions. Some of the things that lie in store for us if we continue this quest is we get to learn way more about Illidan Stormrage, which is Malfurion's brother. We get to learn about the Satyrs, what's up with the Satyrs, when the Cenarian Circle was created and why it was created, what are the details behind the War of the Shifting Sands, why are there so many different elf races when they were all one at one point, and don't forget that we have to go visit all of the other world trees for Terrible Turnip. So take a look at my other starter videos and see which character most interests you. Probably the video with the most thumbs up likes, in addition to whatever comments are left below, will help me determine who to continue leveling. So here we are looking at our wonderful Night Elf leaders. Tyranda's got a really awesome dress on, and Malfurion looks like he's blending into an animal. He's probably spent a little bit too much time in the Emerald Dream, that's my guess.
How fare you, young one? Ah, the blessed waters from our moonwells. You have borne witness to the spirit of the Kelderai, then? In recent times, I've come to find that the spirit offers more questions than it does answers. But such is the continuing nature of discovery that drives us into our darkest hours. I will offer you the simplest answer that I can. Malfurion has returned to me, to us. But harsh times are yet upon us. Staghelm is gone, and the world is racked with pain. Malfurion has much to mend, and he will need help.
The sentinel over here grabs our attention and asks if we could go help in Aberdeen because the cataclysm has caused some problems with the geography and now a bunch of water elementals are going crazy all over the town. They need help rescuing civilians. And that's where we will go if Loreluna is selected to continue leveling. Alright, and this is where I'm going to tell those that want to read the novel Stormrage to stop the video. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the book. Now we go on to the plot summary. In the original World of Warcraft, players were asked to get an item called Marrow Grain and bring it to Fandral Staghelm in Darnassus. This quest was repeatable, and he clearly needed a lot of it. It was discovered in the book that Fandral was using the Marrow Grain to trap Malfurion in the Emerald Dream and slowly kill his physical body. Inside the Emerald Dream, Malfurion discovered just how strong the corruption was inside. It had created the Emerald Nightmare. This was affecting people's dreams and memories on the material plane. Malfurion was tortured by the Nightmare Lord in the Emerald Nightmare. This lord turned out to be the king of satyrs, Xavius, who had escaped his tree prison created by Malfurion long ago. While Xavius enjoyed having Malfurion trapped and tortured, his real goal was to trap and kill the dragon Ysera, who was the guardian of the Emerald Dream. With her gone, Xavius' nightmare could spread unchecked. the effect of the Emerald Nightmare on people's dreams, and a number of other pieces of evidence, led Tyrande Whisperwind and a large group of important druids to enter the Emerald Nightmare to save Malfurion and stop the destruction of Ysera. As a group, they flew to the base of Teldrassil and found a group of druids working hard to cleanse the tree. This was a ruse. Those druids were following Fandral and were working to enhance the corruption inside it. A large battle ensued between Fandral and his followers, and Malfurion and Tyrande's heroes. Fandral is subdued and taken into custody, and after a few more complications in the plot, the heroes finally destroy the tree Xavius' spirit was tied to, and cleansed Azeroth of most of the nightmare. The nightmare and a portion of Xavius' spirit fled to a small area known as the Rift of Aln. Malfurion discovered a portion of Xavius' tree had been grafted into Teldrassil. This had caused rise to all of the corruption. Once it was removed, the dragons once again provided their blessing. While the heroes knew the battle wasn't completely over, they were exhausted and needed rest before solving how to destroy the nightmare for good. These are the events that happened before Cataclysm and led to Malfurion waking up. Thanks again for joining me, Loreluna, and Terrible Turnip on our beginning adventure, and I hope you guys enjoy the other starter areas. For now, this is Loreluna and Terrible Turnip, signing out.